Hey, everybody. Excuse me, John Green here with LeadHelm. And as usual, anybody that's watched or anybody that listens understands I get excited with podcasts, webinars, anything, any any opportunity to talk about all the cool stuff that happens with LeadHelm or digital opportunity inside the retail vehicle space. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And it's a little bit different twist today, right? Typically, we have these discussions. We're talking about opportunity inside digital. We're talking about the digital sales process. We're talking about an opportunity scorecard. We're talking about the phases of digital sales process, all different kinds of things. And we're going to touch a little bit on that today, but what today's real topic are some cool new feature releases that we've got within LeadHelm, the platform. So it's always exciting when we do new things, and the tie-in, I guess, between today and how we normally run these is everything we're going to discuss today is all about how are we using LeadHelm, the software platform, to improve our work with online leads. How to not only online, but also the transition from online and the digital space into the physical showroom. How do we improve that flow so it works better for the staff in the store, and ultimately how does it work better for the customer? And like always, the only reason LeadHelm exists is to help dealers sell more vehicles to leads they're already getting and do it in a manner that the customers love. So if you can sell more and deliver a great customer experience, everybody wins. OEM wins, dealer wins, customer wins, we win, everybody wins. So it's a fun topic to talk about, thus the excitement. So today with me, I got a couple characters again. You know these folks. I've got Aaron Barney, co-founder of LeadHelm, and I've got Jason Blankenship, who is our system master and heads up help desk, client success, really anything that can be done to help dealers understand the functionality of the platform, and more importantly, how do you use this technology? How do you operationalize it in a store to actually make some of those things I just talked about come true? So, guys, how are you today? Well, hello.
Good, doing great, John. I heard you say you love talking about this stuff, John. You love to talk on these podcasts. We all know that.
I'm just looking for an audience, buddy.
Well, excited about the topics today, like you said, right? We got a lot of exciting things to share, so should be really great.
Yeah. And Jason, you are what looks to be a nice day outside there in Amarillo, Texas, is where's home for you. So, how's the weather on the back porch today?
It's nice to not have, 60-mile-an-hour winds for a minute. So I figured I'd sit outside and get a little bit of fresh air.
It's not tumbleweed season yet.
I'll wait any 15 minutes it could change. So hopefully by the end of this, it's still nice.
All right, so these guys have been with LeadHelm from its inception. I'll give you a little bit of kind of the genesis of how LeadHelm came to be here in a minute. But essentially, for those of you that don't know, right, LeadHelm is a subscription-based software program, a SaaS, okay, software as a subscription product. It essentially is a lead management system, okay, a lead management tool designed specifically for digital leads. Okay, so all the leads that come into your website, whether it's an OEM lead or a customer initiated lead or a third party lead, even that you could get from Cycle Trader or Facebook or a credit app or something like that. We're talking about a platform here that pulls those leads together and puts them in one consolidated area that allows users, whether you call them a user, you call them a BDC agent, you call them an internet salesperson, whatever you might want to call them, it puts leads in front of them in a way that they're almost forced to deal with the highest priority leads first. And by highest priority leads, those are two, okay? One is a new lead. New lead comes in the system. I need to see it and get at it right now. The second most important is a response back from a lead that we've had prior engagement with. So I want to make sure that we're doing that. So our whole mission is how do we help the users engage with the customer online and work with that customer through a process, building relationships, establishing trust, bringing emotion into what a lot of times is we miss emotion in the digital space. It's harder to achieve than it is in person. So we focus on that. And again, at the end of the day, we're all about how do we convert more of those leads to kept showroom appointments and ultimately the sale of the vehicle. And in a nutshell, we're about efficiency and capacity building.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. We know staffing is an issue and turnover is an issue in the dealerships, maybe more today than we've ever seen it in our 20 some odd years in this business. So efficiency for the staff we have and capacity. How do I get more production out of the people that I have? This tool helps that. Also, significant opportunities or upgrades, if you will, in the visibility of what happens to these leads. Okay, a lot of times we see response rate and we see a close conversion rate at the end, but we don't see a lot about what happens in the middle of that process. How many times do we touch a lead? What do we say? What do we text when we're doing this? How many engagements? How many do I set? How many do I keep? So visibility to that data, and ultimately at the end, what we're after is a higher degree of accountability to the performance of dealership staff with leads. Okay, we know leads are expensive. We pay to drive traffic to the website. We pay to drive people to the front door. Let's make sure we're doing everything we can to capitalize on that traffic. So that's the intent of LeadHelm, and you'll see a few different screenshots as we go through today with some of these product releases, feature releases. Digital sales process. Okay, we're going to do another one of these podcasts either later this week or next week that talks about a different mindset on running the front end of vehicle dealerships today. Okay, it's a bit different than it was. I'm not going to go through all that, but part of that realization, part of that evolution of thought is the digital sales process is different than the physical sales process when it comes to customer comes in the front door. We're still about trust, we're still about relationship, and ultimately about selling, but I've got to do things differently in digital than I do in physical. So we look at very distinct phases. Phase one, right? I have to have lead generation and lead capture. So we're looking at website traffic and lead capture tools and website optimization, and how do I ensure, how do I try to maximize the amount of traffic to my site that wants to have a conversation with me? So that's phase one, right? Generation and capture of the actual lead. Phase two, lead nurturing. Okay, this is where LeadHelm really shines. How do we work this lead and matriculate it through the process? Nurture that lead from, hey, I'm kind of interested to, I'm really excited to come in and see this bike or this boat or whatever we want to be selling. Okay. Third phase is conversion. Okay. When they do show up in a showroom, what do we do to be retail ready? How do we achieve retail excellence to receive that appointment? So we've got that. We look at KPIs in that piece, right? And some of the KPIs that you just heard: set appointments, kept appointments, number of leads touched, okay, how many inbound and outbound activities, response times, again, site traffic, lead count, so forth. We've got the metrics to support this side of the business. And what I'm gonna go through in a moment is we've actually created, because if you have a different sales process and you have different steps and you have different KPIs, then obviously you need a different traffic log. We need a different planning tool for the digital side of our business because it's different than the physical side. So I'm going to walk you through a bit. How do we plan? Okay. Say that again. In today's market, how do we effectively plan for the digital side of our business? We've always been good at planning. I need to sell this many vehicles, which means I need this many greets per day because I have this many sit downs, this many write ups, this many closes, this many deliveries. I need this many salespeople, and we can back into a staffing model to understand what we have to do. We've never really applied that same kind of logic and scrutiny, if you will, to the digital sales process. So I want a digital traffic log. We're going to walk through that because this is becoming, for some of you today, the business that starts in your digital doorway is 50% or more of the total volume of vehicles that you're selling. Some of you might be at 30%. Some of you might be at 70%. So when I talk about a significant piece of the business, this is not us just making up details here to support the sale of a product. This is where our customers are living. This is where they're starting their journey. And we need to be great in this space if we want to be great in the retail space and the conversion side of it. So that's the product. That's the digital traffic log side. Where we came from, just briefly, right? I mentioned earlier, we started as in the motorcycle business, right? Collectively on this call, just with Aaron, Jason, myself, 20, 40, there's probably 60 years potentially of experience inside of motorcycle dealerships, Harley dealerships, and metric stores. In all various capacities. Anything to do with sales, finance, general management, general sales management, we've done that work. So we come from the operational side of it. We also went through an evolution in our own businesses, the retail side, where we had to learn about how to be good in the digital space. We saw the opportunity. We had to be good at that stuff. So we gradually progressed about 5 years ago out of dealership operations, or in addition to dealership operations, and created a company called Digital Lead Performance. And all we did was we followed up on behalf of motorcycle dealers on their digital leads. Okay, so they would pay Digital Lead Performance. We would do all the work that we're going to talk about right here. Right? We would engage with a customer. We would build a relationship. We would create the emotion. We would set the appointment. We'd confirm the appointment. We'd make sure that the appointment showed up. We did this for over 100 dealers, and we handled over 1 million leads, 1 million plus leads. So Aaron and Jason ran that whole side of it. So operationally, we get it. Lead management, lead follow-up. How do you manage the people that are doing the lead follow-up? We've lived in that space a lot as well. And then now, during the DLP, Digital Lead Performance days, we needed a tool and a dashboard to do all the things that I just told you about LeadHelm, right? I needed efficiency. We needed increased capacity. We needed visibility to data, and we needed accountability. So we built LeadHelm initially to be used only internally at Digital Lead Performance. And we've since made the decision that we now have brought LeadHelm as a standalone product to the market. So standalone software subscription, and we're going to talk to you a little bit more about what it does right here. So that's how we got to where we are. So experience in all facets that we're talking about today. All right, enough of that, guys. Anything to add?
I got a quick thing, John. I mean, I think just to kind of put a cap on that is and this isn't the first time we've said it, and I'm sure that if you're listening, you heard this just out there in the universe. 95% of customers start their buying journey, their shopping journey, I should say, online, right? So they're either using their mobile device, which is increasingly more in everybody's hands, right? Or they're in front of a computer. The reality is that 95% of customers start their buying journey online. And another stat that, John, we were kind of excited, I think it was eye-opening for us to hear that last couple of weeks, is that now a new statistic came out that the average dealer, after they do all the shopping, right? There's a lot of data points we could talk about, but after they do all their kind of research and so forth, the average customer actually visits one dealership. So I think you talked about a lot so far this morning, John, and I think, the reality is customers' behavior has changed years ago. It continues to change. It changed during, the pandemic. It's changed from that, and it's always changed. Customers' behaviors have changed, up in different directions over the years, and I think what's most important is being able to leverage resources and solutions. One of them that you're about to go into, like the digital traffic log, is about, proper planning and having the tools to manage those 3 phases you talked about better. And I think if you're a dealer and you're listening, knowing some of the data points I just talked about, the 95% of customers start online, and then the average customer chooses one dealership to actually go and visit, is, what are we doing how are we influencing the buyer, right? We're influencing the buyer regardless. So
Yep.
we want to influence them to buy from us and we be the dealership they're going to visit, or do we want to influence them to go somewhere else? So this conversation, the features that we talk about really are, right, John and Jason, these features really are about how you really help impact that inside the dealership and even way before that when they start their journey online. So it is exciting talking about some of these tools and some of these features that we're talking about today, because it really is about, most of your customers and where you're starting the journey and where you're influencing. So pretty
Yep.
awesome.
Well, I think, Aaron, the one thing about that is what LeadHelm does and what these features help it do even better. To your point, this helps you win the battle for the customer that's being fought online, right? If 95% start there and they go through their research phases and then they go through consideration and shopping and they go through all these phases online and they're visiting 10 or 12 websites and doing hours and hours of research before they ultimately decide which dealership to go to, the battle for the customer is being fought online. It's being fought in the digital space. And we're just here to arm dealers to better fight the battle.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Let's look at a couple of these things. Okay. So I'm going to, on screen, you'll see a digital traffic log. Okay. I'm going to walk through it briefly. This is something right now that's not fully released. This is coming. It's inside the system. And what we're doing right now is we're having our clients work with Jason and our client success team to build these digital traffic logs if they don't have one. New dealers that we bring on, we set up this traffic log as part of our onboarding process. And essentially what it is, it's planning. Okay. So in this example, this would be a full year of 2024, January through December. We've got total vehicle sales projections on the top. These are mock-ups. Okay, so this is a dealer that wants to sell 500 units in 2024, 500 total, and then you can see by month how many they're going to sell. So we would just talk to a dealer about that. How many are you going to sell this year? Okay, great. Then what we want to do is we want to work with the dealer, or as you're thinking about this, what percentage of that total is going to come through my digital front door? Okay, what's going to start as an online lead that I engage that ultimately comes as an appointment to the showroom and we convert them? Is it 30% of your business, 20%, 50%, 60%? Could be anything. In this example, we used 30%. Okay, so now our total target for the year is 500 units. Our digital target for the year, 30% of that, is 150 units. Okay, so now I understand that. My digital area is going to be responsible for 150 units, or 30% of my total. That's my plan. Okay, then we start to work on some percentages. Okay, how many leads are you going to need to achieve 150 sales? Well, that's somewhat dependent upon how many appointments do you set on average with every lead you get. You set appointments with 10% of your leads, or is it 40%? Could be somewhere in there. Okay, we've got this one set at 40%. Okay, so I need 1,790 leads, as you can see, to create 714 set appointments. And then we have a discussion with you. Okay, well, how many of those set appointments are going to be kept? What's your number? Maybe you know, maybe you don't. If you do, great. If you don't, think about the liability if you really don't know this based on everything we just talked about and the importance of winning the battle, where it's fought. I need you to know this information. You need to know this information. Kept percentages and ultimately conversion percentages at the dealership. So working through this, again, we're working with dealers all the time on these as we onboard them, but typically we go through this exercise in the fourth quarter of 2023 to set up for 24, because this has implications on how much website traffic do I need to drive? What kind of lead capture tools on my website do I need to have? Those are all costs. Those are expenses we have to put out there. What kind of body count, head count, personal resource, human resource do I need to have in this space to achieve these results? Not just annually, but you can see it then broken down month to month to month. Those are the target side of it. So we're going to set this up, right? You have a plan, and now you've got to have strategies and tactics to execute the plan. Okay? The only thing worse than a plan that's difficult to achieve is no plan at all. So let's have a plan. Once it's built, okay, then we can come in and we start to look at actuals. Okay, so this, you can see I've got actual numbers in January, February, and month to date in March. How many units have been sold? How many appointments have been kept? How many have been set? And the number of leads, lead volume. Okay, you'll see there's no entry in web traffic. Okay, the rest of the data in here is all pulled. The actuals are pulled in real time anytime something happens in LeadHelm. Okay, so a lead comes in and it's claimed, we see lead volume tick up +1. We set an appointment, we see set appointments tick up +1. Same for kept, same for sold. So the only thing a dealer would need to do on this is go in periodically and update their website traffic. How many visitors came to your website? Okay, so I can see what I've done. And then below, our month-to-date trend is always just that. Okay, where are we in the current month relative to our target? Okay, and if our performance continues the way it is today, where are we going to finish the month? Okay, so at a glance, you can say, how am I doing relative to my targets? Well, this dealer is actually in great shape. Okay, they're trending to be 37 over in their sold number. That's massive. They're going to be 4 over in their kept. Okay, they're going to be 30 over in their set appointments, and they're going to have 67 more leads than they actually needed at the beginning. So this is a great situation that's here. Their next move potentially would be a reforecast and say, maybe I need more of my total sales to come through digital. And it's not 30. Maybe I need to be 35 or 40 or 45. Think about the dynamics that change inside a store when we start to make some of those adjustments or reforecasts or have those conversations. Do I need to shift resources from physical to my digital space? Okay. What needs to happen with my floor traffic or my advertising to drive to the front door? Lots and lots can be gleaned from the data about where we take this. So this is about trending and data insights and really thinking about a different view of the front end operations of a dealership these days. So Jay, I'm going to see if you have thoughts on this. You're closest to this action because you're actually building these with the dealer. So thoughts on this or insights that you see come out of these sessions?
Some of the bigger ones is the clients that just they really don't know these numbers. It's one of those things out of sight, out of mind. It's not looked at on a regular basis. And then when you put it on paper, you kind of see some eye-opening moments to where one, they see potential in doing better. Because if you plan on selling 20 bikes this month and you always sell 20 bikes, but you don't know where the 20 bikes are coming from. And then you start putting a focus on the digital and you start seeing, well, I could exceed at 30 bikes instead. Those extra 10 bikes in 1 month are a huge benefit in all areas of the dealerships, the departments, the parts transactions, the service transactions, people buying riding gear. So the potential that comes out of these sessions is probably the biggest takeaway when you put the focus and you dedicate the systems and the processes to both sides of your dealership, your physical doorway and digital doorway. It takes dedicated processes to do the digital doorway.
Well, I think that's, anytime that we can help quantify upside and opportunity for a dealer is a positive outcome, right? Because right now, look, we're all chasing deals a little bit. We talk to a lot of dealers on a daily basis, and we understand. Look, markets ebb and flow. there's a bit of headwind right now for a couple reasons on the micro and the macroeconomic level right now. So anything we can do, one, to identify opportunity, like you're talking about, and then two, how do we, with technology and training, how do we help dealers capitalize on that opportunity, realize the potential out there? That's where it gets even more exciting. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So digital traffic log, right? Think about that. I got a special offer for you at the end. If you're intrigued by, I wonder what mine would look like. I'll let you know how you can do that for free here in a couple minutes. So that would be what I'm going to call feature one. We've got 3 other ones we're going to talk about. So let's shift gears. And now we're going to talk about lead notification. Okay. And I'm not going to carry the most of the water on this one. I'll turn it over to the fellas here, but we have an integration with Ring Central, okay, that allows us to do a few things. One of which, there's a Ring Central app that can be installed on the phones, the cell phones, the people in the dealership. So now, because the reality in the stores is people roam around. Not everybody has a dedicated person sitting in front of a terminal working leads all day long. As much as we'd like that, it's not practical, it's not feasible in some dealerships. That's okay. So people are doing different things and they're roaming around. They still need to be notified when a lead comes in. Okay, so guys, take over on this a little bit and let us know how does it work? What do we do with it? What's a best practice on this lead notification?
If I may, on that one too, it's something that dealers, again, they almost didn't understand that side of it as well as I thought too. They thought leads came in, they got handled, and then when you put a clock on them and you give them the ability to be notified anywhere in the dealership, that's such a huge advantage because we have a lot of clients that work on their feet, like you're talking about. They have obligations to taking new bike photos, helping unload the truck even, and all the different things that come with working inside a dealership. And the power and the freedom to be able to do those things and still know if a new lead inquires, you can back to that or respond quickly. I know Aaron was talking about a minute ago with how many customers are truly shopping multiple locations online. The first one to talk to him and build the relationship is a lucky one that gets the business, especially when I'm that way. If I acquired a couple different spots, the one that treats me the best, I don't I don't take all that information and still go check out 5 other locations. I go to the one spot because that's who treated me the best. So the lead notification setup, it has been really powerfully received by the clients that are using it, that have opened up the freedom to do their other roles inside their dealership and to essentially be able to multitask and work on their feet like today's dealerships require.
Yeah. Oh, speed to lead, Jay.
Yep.
Yep.
Right. That was it. That's the website for the old digital lead performance. Right. It's dlpspeed.com. Speed to lead. And we sat in on an automotive digital training the other day. It was actually fairly fascinating. And the data tracks very similar, whether it's marine, power sports, automotive. Under 5 minutes response time is that sweet spot. Okay, let me repeat that. Under 5 minutes to respond to this lead. And I'm not saying that's an autoresponder. I'm talking about a human person actually responding and saying, I'm a real person and I'm excited you reached out and I'd love to have a conversation with you. Okay, that's a little bit different. And again, customers are putting leads everywhere. Who gets there first, who gets there best, and who stays there longest wins the appointment. But you got to get there first. Okay, so lead notification is a big one. All right. Speed to lead.
I'll add to that real quick, right? So, customer walks into our showroom today, right now, walks in the front door. Are we going to let him walk around, let him and his wife walk around for 5, 10 minutes, maybe 30 minutes before being greeted? What would happen if that happened in our retail environment? Are we allowing that kind of behavior from our staff inside of a dealership? Of course not, right? Hopefully the answer is, well, of course not. And we as John, you've been an operator for many years. What was your time frame that you wanted somebody to be greeted when they walked in the front door?
Well, we got to a point where it was so important that we put the receptionist and the welcome desk right in front of the front door. So even if everybody other than that person was busy, the customer got greeted immediately.
So we actually built a solution. You actually had staff at the front door, right? So now
Yep.
all of a sudden, you're creating different processes and different workflows or different paths for the customer. But I believe if they were in that store more than 30 seconds without being greeted, we had a problem with it, right?
Major.
Because
Major.
the first 15 to 30 seconds in that impression that we make is so critical. And I'm actually, I think nothing's changed about that. And inside your dealership, I think that stands true today the same way it did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
again, going back to where customers start their journey online, is it less important for them to have a quick response time digitally? Why is that? Because we can't see them and they're not physically in front of us. Clearly, where I'm going with this is that it is, if not equally critical, maybe even more importantly critical, that we respond to that customer's inquiry faster than anything else. We're talking about less than 5 minutes, speed to lead, and we talked about how a customer is going to choose that one dealership after all that. And as a dealer, we talked about having that person up at the front door. There's reasons why that's difficult, right? We don't have somebody, like you said, John, in a seat. They're not sitting there waiting for a lead to come in. I mean, the old way of doing it, you just check the email when you had time, you print out your leads, and you'd hand them out to sales staff. I mean, you get to them when you can. But in today's world, right, we want to respond to that customer as fast as possible. So what I love about the lead notifications is we can help with some of the staffing challenges that are out there. We can help with, maybe they're in the back moving a motorcycle. Maybe they're opening the dealership up. Maybe they're trying to, help a customer on the floor. But the fact that you can set this up with LeadHelm and get notified of that new lead, it allows you to, manage that process a lot better. And what I love about it is the integration with just being able to work it even on your phone. And then when you get to your computer, there's all the data and the system's updated for you. So again, goes back to, I think, faster, easier with better results. So lead notifications, awesome new feature.
Well, and think about
I think it's. Go ahead, Jay.
I was thinking about a conversation we had internally yesterday. Even, think about if your dealership had no online presence, you had no website, you didn't have Facebook, would you survive? If you only lived off the people walking through your front door right now, you advertised in the newspaper only, you didn't have any kind of online presence, that you have zero footprint there. It wouldn't be feasible. It wouldn't work. So you either adapt and change with the times and you put in processes and people and expectations in place to roll with that, or you stand firm of I'm not going to have an online presence or prioritize those customers. You're not going to get any of that business.
No, you're right. And I think it's what's interesting, Aaron, when you're talking about response time on the floor versus online, right? I think what we need to remember is the definition of a lead is somebody who has expressed interest overtly, okay? I'm interested in who you are, your culture, your brand, your product, your location, something. What's more important than somebody that raises their hand and said, I'm interested in what you have to sell? Nothing. And right, and you can say, well, some leads are worth more than other leads. Okay, we can help you with lead source performance and so forth, but let's not pre-qualify anybody. They raise their hand. They can either call you, they can walk in the front door, or they can raise their hand online. They're all vitally important. So we got to get to them quick. Okay, answer the phone, greet them at the front door, greet them online quickly.
Hey, if we could qualify customers, we wouldn't need to be on this podcast. We'd all be billionaires, right? I mean, if 10 people walk in your dealership and somebody's walking over to parts to buy, a new helmet, motor clothes, right? And they're going to buy a new helmet. Could you imagine us saying, you know what? They're just here for a helmet. We don't need to talk to that customer. Let them just go, self-checkout, and we'll talk to him when he's ready to buy a motorcycle. I mean, we got to get serious here. This is an important topic, and I think but again, it's hard work. It's hard work, and there's reasons why it's hard to respond to a lead quickly. We have other things happen inside the dealership. So lead notifications, being able to be notified of that new lead coming in faster and easier, allowing you to respond to that customer quickly, start that journey. Great. It's a great tool to have in your back pocket. What I mean by that is that cell phone, buzzing in the back pocket, letting you know that, hey, new leads coming in. Very helpful. We have a lot of dealers that are using this already, right, Jason? And they're loving it.
Yes, absolutely. It's
All
just
right.
one of those things that you can't live without. You don't have
No.
it, you don't know what you're missing.
All right, lead notification, great one. And so, guys, we're kind of going through the flow here, right? So we've built a digital traffic log. That's a planning piece. We're making it a more efficient process for lead notification to understand what's happening, so we can engage, and the engagement all happens inside the system. And here's a third add from a feature standpoint, again, because of this integration with Ring Central, all of the phone calls. Okay, we've always had all the text messages recorded. Now we've got all of the phone calls, inbound and outbound, are recorded in here. Okay, so now again, planning with a digital traffic log, lead notification comes in. Now I've got people, users, agents engaging with customers, and as an owner, as a manager, now I've got the ability to see and hear everything that's happening with them. Communication history. So think about this. We've got training and coaching that can come from this. Okay. We can see different responses from customers based on what we send them. We start to understand, say this and they'll do this and they'll say that. We start to get better at what we're saying and typing in communication. So that's one side, the development and the improvement of the actual people using the system to help move more leads through to conversion. That's a huge side of it. The other side of it is we know we have multiple users. Right? We have multiple people in most dealerships these days that are handling these leads. Okay, Aaron and Jason both work for me as an example. My dealership, they both work and they're on these leads, and it's Aaron's day off, and somebody that he's been working online replies. Jason's working today. Jason's going to see that. He probably just got a notification on his phone that something came in, okay, or something happened. So he can jump in here now and he can go back and he can see all the conversation history. I can see what's been text back and forth. I can listen to what's been said back and forth. He can pick up right where Aaron left off, and it's seamless for the customer. You have to be able to do that. So this is another feature just based on reality. So guys, any further comments on that? It's pretty self-explanatory. You see a screenshot here. This is what it would look like inside the system, conversation history. You can hit the little button there and listen to all the calls.
I can say this. I'll say this one thing, and being an operator, inside of a dealership for many moons, is there's a mantra to live by, right? You inspect what you expect, and that's easily said than done. I mean, it's hard work to inspect what you expect on a daily basis. And John, right? You really have to do it on a daily basis. It's not, hey, let me inspect what I expect when I want those results when things are bad. You got to drive behavior. So you got to do doing these things every day as a sales manager. I mean, just think about that. One of the toughest jobs in a dealership. I think all three of us would agree, because you're wearing multiple hats. And anyhow, inspect what you expect. And the reason why it's hard is because we don't have the tools in front of us that make it a couple of clicks away to do so. If it's right in front of us and we can do it and it's easy and fast, it becomes a behavior for us as leaders, as managers. I think you hit that nail on the head. When you can have the right kind of inspection of what you expect, you're driving accountability. The coaching opportunity here is amazing. I mean, one of the most powerful things we do in a dealership is how we handle the phones. So it's a really, really important feature that you can use on a daily basis. You mentioned, John, about the actual user really wins. I mean, if I didn't have LeadHelm and I wasn't a user, to have this access to read these text messages and listen to my phone calls, I'm juggling so many things. So the lead, the inquiry that you made a month ago, and I'm having all these conversations and talks with you, I'm also talking to a lot of other customers. So, having a tool like this as a user, you just made my life better. You made it easier for me to set more appointments. You made it easier for me to build a relationship with a customer. Now, what's a happy employee? Well, happy employee is an employee that sticks around. And I think we all know it can be challenging to retain staff sometimes. Okay. And
Mhm.
it can be challenging to retain staff in the digital lead kind of environment, whether it's a BDC or a salesperson, and so forth. So being able to improve the life of the user here is a big one. But man, ultimately the customer wins. Because what customer that's shopping online wants to start all over every time they talk to you? It's those little things. Being able to
They
listen to,
don't.
a 30-second phone call to know what we talked about and portray that in my next conversation with a customer fast and easy. I mean, that differentiates you from the dealership down the road. So, good, easy feature to use, and I think it's going to really help. Some of our dealers are using it right now, and they're loving that. But I think it's really going to help your sales staff or your BDC people, internet salesperson, depending on your structure. It's going to help them do their job better and build that customer experience up. Go get some more appointments.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jay, how about some feedback? You're the one we just launched this, so we've got a handful of dealers who've opted in for the recording piece. And what's some feedback, Jay, that you're hearing out there from them?
If I had to pick one thing, it's been the awareness of the sales management people in charge of the location seeing the performance of their team, their users. How do you sell anything with never having a phone call? So humans by nature usually like to take the path of least resistance, and like Aaron just said, fundamentally being good on the phones is super important. But if my user never picks up the phone, if they're trying to do everything the easy way, send a text message, try to get the customer send a picture of their bike in, but they never talk about things. So being able to go in and one, see that awareness of what is not being done has been very important from the lead helm from day one. Then part two is getting to be able to review the calls to make their people better. It's only part of the battle to be quick to respond, but not say anything good, to not have any kind of, engagement, to not, yeah, I'm quick to answer the lead, but then I don't build any relationship. I don't, use format for those that know what that is. I don't have any kind of, you know, I don't got a follow up to being quick. And then it just kind of like dies. So the biggest piece has just been the how much it puts in the dealer's hands to make their teams better. To Aaron's point, someone who's good at their job, who gets coached, who gets trained, who gets the value put into them to improve, they stay longer and they do better in the totality of their role.
Yeah. Now, I think what you just said there, Jay, right? This is not, it's on topic with what you said. It has nothing to do with features, but I have a firm belief in any management role, in any business, that your obligation is to do everything in your power to create an environment with training and tools and support that gives your employee the greatest chance to be successful. That's right. Because people show up, they want to do a good job. People don't come to work and say, I wonder if I can mess this stuff up today. That's just usually not why they're coming in. They quit before they come in. People want to do a good job. Let's use the tools. Let's use the training. Let's use the insights. Let's use the data. Let's use support and so forth and let them win. Let them be great. Why not? They want to be great. Let them be great for you, right? They're going to be great for you. They're great for the customer. Again, everybody wins on that one. So great point there. Okay, so now you got to think about this. We've done a planning with a traffic log. We've got lead notification that helps. They're working inside the system. I'm recording all their texts and their phone calls. And because of this and the coaching, the support, everything that we're doing, now we get to a point where we've got a set appointment with the customer. And we're going to move on to the fourth piece of this, which we call a customer summary. Okay, so this becomes an available option inside the system anytime somebody sets an appointment with a customer. So as soon as we click set appointment, then this becomes available. And you can see on the screen, it's just really a wrap-up sheet. It's a summary of what's going on with this customer. Okay, so it's got a lead number, it's got all the customer's information, how old the lead is, who on my team and my internet salespeople, or whatever we call them, who's worked with that customer. Okay, when's their appointment, tentative. This one is on the screen right there. What do they come in to look at? Under the comment, you can see they're looking for a 23 Street Glide ST on this one. The ADF is the actual raw data from the lead. So ADF is a format that's used inside of vehicle retail spaces. It's how leads are ingested into systems, a format thing. This is raw data from there, right? Their interest is to buy, it's on a new product, and then some more information. Then we see some completed follow-up. So those are activities that have gone on there. And then we can actually see all the conversation history, right? So I can see text messages, I can see phone calls that are on there. At the bottom of this sheet would be if there's any images, pictures that have been sent or received. Maybe we sent pictures of the bike. Maybe we received pictures of their trade-in, so forth. So all that would be in there. And the intent of this, okay? The intent of this, we're talking about different spaces, digital and physical, okay? So in this situation, this customer, I can't even read it, Ellie. Let's call this Ellie. So Ellie's been working with, let's just say, with Johnny. Okay, so Johnny's one of the internet salespeople. His name's on here. So Ellie's been working with Johnny. She doesn't have any idea who Aaron Barney is. And Aaron Barney is going to be the salesperson on the floor that actually greets her when she shows up at 3:15 on the 11th of March. Okay, so Aaron needs this information, and Ellie needs to have some idea who Aaron is, and all that needs to happen before Ellie ever gets to the store at 3:15 on the 11th of March. We have to move information, and we have to move trust. Okay, information is moved with this one piece. Okay, we get this, we print this, and we say, okay, sales managers can see every time there's an appointment set. They can click on the customer summary sheet, they print that, and then they say, okay, I'm going to call this customer, or go back to my example, I'm going to give this summary report for Ellie to Aaron. Aaron, I need you to call Ellie, introduce yourself, let her know you're very familiar with everything that's been happening, reconfirm her appointment. So Aaron's going to be like, okay, Aaron gets this report. He looks at all the information. He calls Ellie. Hey, Ellie, I see you've been working with Johnny. My name's Aaron. I'm excited that you're coming in on the 11th to look at this Street Glide. Super cool bike. Saw the pictures of your trade. Whatever. He's reviewed the history. He knows what's happening. So she's like, okay, you're not Johnny, but you know all about me, and you're pretty nice too. So that's all cool, right? Do you know where we're located? Do you know where to park? We're still good for the 11th at 3:15. We've done all that stuff. Okay, so now we've moved, we've transferred trust and information. Okay, now all we have to do is prepare to receive that appointment. And there's a lot of things that we can do at that point in terms of appointment boards and bikes out front or boats out front or cars out front, wash, detailed, customer's name on them, all those things to make them feel like royalty when they show up. Because if we do this right, they love this because they've done all the hard work. The stuff that people don't like about buying vehicles, they're doing from their living rooms or from their offices on their own time. They're in control. They love that stuff. And then when they come in, if we're set up right, we pick up right where they left off in the digital space. Seamless transition, digital to physical. And they're like, holy cow, there's my bike. You got my name. You know I'm coming, right? You understand all about my trade. We got all this. They just pick right up. It's amazing when it works well. It's amazing. This is where, when I said at the beginning, we're talking about selling more, but do it in a way that customers love. That's what we're talking about here. This is the retail excellence side of this stuff. So, guys, thoughts on this piece? I love this one.
I don't know that I can add anything to that. I think you just painted the picture perfectly. A lot happens. This is what we'd call really a strong friction point in the sales process, the digital sales process, because there's a lot that can happen or not happen to influence that ultimate. What's the result we're really looking for is, obviously a happy customer, but we're looking to sell a boat, a motorcycle, a car, an RV. That's ultimately the result that we'd like to see as a dealership. And that means we have a happy customer. But the friction point that you have between kind of the whole, customer journey and the lead being worked and all that communication, And then coming in, there's, we've had some previous podcasts around some best practices, and that's another conversation for another time. But you mentioned most of them, John, and it's really about being retail ready. Are we retail ready for that appointment? And what's hotter than a customer that went through this whole process and then chose your one dealership. We talked about it earlier. They're going to choose one dealership, so they chose your dealership. They're coming in. Now's the time to really put the whole thing together. And this feature, being able to have this, if I can say this, if I had this as a sales manager, where I could look the day before, hit a button, one button, and print out all my appointments, get my sales team huddled in that sales meeting and get them all excited, hand out these sheets and tell them to get retail ready for the appointments that are for tomorrow, right? Not today. Let's get ready. Let's have some fun with it and make a scene out front with the internet lane. And, there's a lot of things you can do. It's hard to do those things when you don't have the information you talked about. John, you talked about having the right information. So, man, be able to click this and print it out and have it on my sales tower and be able to have, the right salespeople prepared for those types of appointments. Man, one, I'm going to have some happy salespeople because they're going to be ready and they're not going to, be under the gun to, all the battery's dead and it's in back, right? All the stress we sometimes put on ourselves inside of a dealership. So just being able to make the salesperson really be ready for it and, have some fun with it, make some contests around it, do some fun things. So, I love this customer summary report, and I think we're already seeing right now dealerships being able to have a better structure around their appointment kept process. So it's really awesome.
Good. No, I agree with all that, Aaron. What do you think, Jay?
When I put my sales manager hat on back when I was in leadership, same thing. Having this would have been so amazing. To me, this is something that no other technology does. And it definitely doesn't do it as easy as this. And it is such a grind. No one likes to look at and go through layers upon layers of reports. To me, this is a quality of life thing in this new digital focus that having this improves the quality of life of the salesperson, sales manager, but most importantly, the customer, because the customer experience is the number one thing that really influences the customer's emotional journey on deciding to make a purchase. They get a great customer experience online, and then they get to that dealership, the one dealership they plan on visiting to actually consider making a purchase, and it's a less than ideal experience. What happens? It might push them totally away from using disposable money on a motorcycle, on a boat, on an RV. They might say, you know what? I'm going to go buy that TV. I'm going to go put that money back aside and save it for something better because I'm just so turned off by that experience. I've seen it and talked to customers where that happened. So this feature to me just really puts that nice cherry on the top. If you do everything well from a fast response, the relationship and business building and customer engagement and trust, and then you'll be able to blow them away with an exceptional in-person visit, you're going to sell more units. And it starts with right here. I've been able to put everything on one page at the click of one button. And not me as a sales manager have to dig through 19 different layers of reports just to find what I have coming up for today or tomorrow or what was done to get to that point. I really love this report. I think it builds so much. And the customers that we have using it right now, the clients we have using it, have been blown away by it.
Yeah. Good. It's exciting to give feedback, guys. And I'm asking that from genuine curiosity. That wasn't just we're not just staging that good feedback because this just went out to market it's been in our clients' hands for less than a week. So this is real feedback coming in. So that's great news and great to hear that. So just we're going to bring it all home right here and tie this up in a nice little bow for you. But right, we talked about LeadHelm. We talked about the technology. We've talked about the importance of the digital space, the opportunity that's there. And with some of these enhancements that we've just we've just shown, right? For those of you who haven't seen the full-blown demo of LeadHelm, these are just little additional features. We think they're impactful, but the real meat and potatoes is still the system that's behind some of these things. So I'd encourage you to look at that stuff. But right, we need to plan for this business. We need to think about the digital portion of our business, I believe, differently. We're not inventing the fact that this is a new way. Okay. Customers are driving the fact that this is a new way. We're just realizing maybe sooner than most how you capitalize and you stay current and reinvent yourself with this new evolution of how customers are going to shop. So that's one. Try to get your head in that space, plan for that stuff, and then try to leverage tools and technology and training that allows you to be more competitive. And again, win that battle. Okay? If you can win that battle online, there's a better way for everybody in this thing. Let's be good at it. Let's have people. Let's let them be successful. Customers love it, so forth. So in a nutshell, right? Plan for it, lead notifications, call recording, insights, coaching, development of the people, customer experience, all that stuff is enhanced if we do this the right way. And there is a right way. So we have that. You can find anything about us at leadhelm.com. Okay, there's a resources tab at the top. In there, you can see past podcasts. Future podcasts will be on there. You can sign up for the newsletter. You can get in touch with us, whatever you want, leadhelm.com. And I also think, Christy, we're going to put in the chat on this. There'll be a link in there that if you want to, limited offer from the 18th of March through the 22nd of March. If you want a free traffic log session, digital traffic log session with Aaron Barney right there, click that link, get it scheduled, and we will walk you through establishing your own traffic log. No cost, no commitment. I think you're going to be, as Jason said, it exposes opportunity. So why not take advantage of that? So that'll be available to you. Otherwise, leadhelm.com. You can find it all. And guys, thank you both for your time and your input and your insights today. Always fun. Yep. Again, it's all about selling bikes, making people happy. So if we can help you with that, love to do it. We're LeadHelm. I'm John. Thanks for the time today. Talk soon.
Good stuff, John. Thanks, everybody.